I first knew I wanted to adopt when I was pretty young. I was in like the 4th grade, which seems really young. I was an only child, and my parents wanted to have more kids, and they weren't able to. And they started pursuing adoption. My dad was a school teacher and a football coach. My mom had a gift shop and was a floral designer. And when it all came down to it, finances were a problem, and they were the reason that we weren't able to adopt. And I can remember hearing them talk about it, just amongst themselves, and thinking, one of these days I am gonna adopt, and money is not gonna be the reason that I can't. Early on in our marriage, from the very beginning, I'd always told Jared about my heart for adoption and that I was gonna wanna adopt kids at some point, and it had always been something that we had thought about doing. I'd always thought we would adopt internationally. I guess that was kind of the trend at the time. I don't know, that was just all I knew. And at one point we did look into that and started down that path. At that point in time, Jared wasn't 30 yet, and you had to be 30 years old to adopt. And so, that was just kind of God shutting that door, that wasn't the right time for us, because that wasn't the way He wanted it to look for us. Fast forward a little bit later, not long after that, we found out I was pregnant with Campbell. And after that, Jared said, I think 3 is enough, and I think we're good, and I don't think we want to pursue adoption. And I was okay with that, but I just never could get rid of the feeling and the desire. And I feel like God called me at an early age to be a part of adoption, and so I started pursuing other ways I can get involved. And so one of my other sons, Kanan, wanted to run a 5K, and so we entered one, and it happened to be a fundraiser for the Guardian Ad Litem program, which I didn't even know what that was at the time, but then I found out what it was. And so through more research and looking through it, I went and got trained and became a Guardian Ad Litem. I was a Guardian Ad Litem for about 1.5 years when I met Creed, and at the time they were working to reunify him with his mother, and things were going along well. He had been in the same foster home for a couple of years, and that's really unheard of. And he was in a really good situation. Some things changed, and he was going to be available for adoption. And the foster family that had been caring for him, they were not an adoptive foster family. They were gonna be moving on and doing something else. And so on one of my visits in particular, I remember walking in the front door of the foster home, and he came running around the corner, and I just knew in an instant that he was going to be a part of our family forever. I know a lot of people that are maybe struggling to have children on their own or going through things like that. I know that's really hard. I know personally, I had 3 miscarriages between Cooper and Kanan. 5 years went by and I lost 3 kids, and I didn't think I would ever have any more kids, and so I know that's really hard. But I just encourage you to look at adoption as a possibility. And on top of that, I also encourage you, I wasn't aware of being able to adopt through foster care. That was foreign to me. I didn't know. I just thought the only way you adopted was internationally. But actually what I learned is that you can adopt through foster care, and there are some risks to it, and it is a little bit more complicated. You can actually become a foster parent and tell them up front, I want to foster to adopt, meaning that maybe you want just an infant because you want to have them from the very beginning, or whatever the case may be. There's a lot of ways to work around it, and adoption's not easy. It's not like a golden laid path that's easy any way you do it, but there are lots and lots of children right here in the United States, right here in Florida, right here in Tampa, right where you are, that need a forever family. And so if you haven't thought about looking into foster to adopt, I encourage you to take a look at it. It's been the best thing that's ever happened to our family. I had been seeing Creed every month for a little bit over 1 year when I finally told Jared, I think we need to look at adopting this little boy. And at first our kids are big, they're grown, we were, quote, almost done. And so we had some really long, hard talks about it. We talked to our kids about it. Cooper was already grown and out of the house. Kanan was right in the middle of high school, sports, athletics, all of that. Campbell was in the throes of middle school, and not everybody was on board right at first. And so we kind of talked through that and worked through that, and we all met Creed. We did visits with him, and after having him around for a little bit of time, everyone kind of started seeing that, you know what, not only does this little boy need us, but I think we need him.